So welcome everybody. We'll begin our time together as we often do, just sensing the whole community. If you want to go on gallery view, just take a look and see we've got about 20 people here, 21 or so people here, just to let that in and just to enjoy being here together for this time of practice, and let that be a little quiet kind of joy, a little quiet kind of happiness in the heart, that we've got this kind of family gathering together. And we'll want to recognize that we have an extended practice talk time tonight. So for those who want to stay after the official talk closes, you're welcome to, and we'll have another 40 minutes or so to chat about practice. And tonight as we begin, we'll just take the refuges in our hearts as I speak about the refuges. And the refuges are those places, those internal qualities in a way, internal qualities that can be inspirations for us in this tradition, places where we can rest, places that we can take a little bit of refreshment from. And these are the refuge in the Buddha. And this is the historical Buddha, but also more importantly, our internal capacity for peace. We take refuge in that. Remember that. And as we do that, as we turn to this internal refuge, there can be a tiny little bit of happiness that we have this internal capacity. And remembering that can bring a little bit of happiness. And then the second refuge is the refuge in the Dharma or the teachings. And as we remember that we have these teachings, that can be a little quiet joy inside. Maybe you're getting the sense that the theme tonight is quiet joy, and where we can find this quiet joy, this internal sense or source of joy. And so the third refuge is the refuge in the community, or the Pali word is the Sangha, the Pali spoken at the time of the Buddha. And the community we can rest in is this community here that's making it possible for us to practice together tonight. And then we want to send a special recognition or celebration because it's Pride Week this week. I want to offer a special celebration for all the LGBTQI2S folks in our Sangha and also in the wider community. And Out Saskatoon this week is having all kinds of wonderful, I took a look on their website today, all kinds of wonderful online activities for Pride Week. And Andrea's got the flags flying behind her for Pride Week. Thank you so much, Andrea, for doing that. That's great. And we also want to recognize all the Indigenous folks in our community and in the wider community, because Sunday is International or National Indigenous Day. And there's all kinds of things going on as well on the Office of the Treaty Commissioner website virtually. So we can join in that way as well. So recognizing that we have communities here tonight, and then wider communities that we rest inside of or are also a part of, that we can take a little bit of quiet joy in. Recognizing the community of nature that supports us all, and the community of Treaty 6, which we like to recognize here that we're all a part of. So I'm going to lead a sit tonight that's just a gentle inquiry into these inner qualities that can bring us some quiet joy. And quiet joy has a very important part, as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, in the wisdom practice of this tradition, because joy can calm the system. And then with a calmer system, we can see more clearly, the path to peace. We can see more clearly in our own hearts how to cultivate peace and how to cultivate or abandon or move away from cycles or patterns of struggle and suffering. And the good news, or another good news, is that we don't have to manufacture joy. The teachings invite us to notice other inner qualities that then can naturally inspire or invite joy. So I'm going to invite us gently to look for these qualities in our meditation tonight. And then just look to see if there's any quiet joy. And so sensing into the body as it's sitting on the chair. Sensing the body sitting. Sensing the contact with the feet on the floor. Hips on the chair. Back supported. Just noticing that you can rest into the chair, into the support of the chair. And sensing noticing that it is mindfulness that allows us to sense the support of the chair. Sense the body sitting. This amazing quality of mindfulness, this capacity we have for mindfulness. That can bring us into connection with our lives, into connection in an intimate way with ourselves here, this moment. And just sensing in, is there any kind of quiet little appreciation or quiet little gratitude or quiet little joy at this capacity for mindfulness? This amazing capacity that we didn't always know we had. Just feeling any appreciation you have for, or that rises on reflecting on this amazing capacity of mindfulness. And gratitude for the gifts it may have brought you in life, or the gift it can bring in connecting us with this moment, with our life. Just sensing the body sitting, the whole body. And using your mindfulness to be a little curious, to be a little curious about what it feels like, just this whole body sitting. Let yourself be curious about the breath within the body. Breath as it comes in the nostrils, fills the lungs, expands the chest. It's curious how it moves in the belly. Curious how the side body moves with the breath. Curious about how the back expands. Does it all expand in the same way, or does one side expand differently than the other? And being curious, do the shoulders lift a little bit with the breath? Letting our curiosity illuminate all these corners of our experience that we didn't see before, or haven't seen for a while, felt for a while. Being curious about the whole breath as it comes in and fills the whole trunk of the body. And then the trunk of the body as it relaxes as the breath exhales. Being curious, what part of the body do you connect with most in the breath? Is it the movement of the whole trunk, or just one part of the body? And seeing if there's anything enjoyable, energizing about this quality of curiosity. The amazing fact that we have curiosity. We can be curious about things, explore our own experience. Checking to see if maybe there's a little way that curiosity energizes the system, makes the system a bit more alert for what might be going on. Is there anything enjoyable about that? And using your curiosity to see if there's any place in the body, the breath, which has a little bit of calmness in it. Maybe there's calmness in the breath as it ebbs and flows all on its own. Some calmness that might come from letting the breath breathe all by itself. Maybe a sense of steadiness in the body sitting. Just letting yourself rest in the body and the breath. The ebb and flow of the thinking that will come and go. Seeing if there's from time to time any sense you can inquire. Get curious if there's any sense of quiet enjoyment, quiet joy, quiet ease, quiet calm. Let yourself notice these quiet joys. From time to time, inquiring, is mindfulness present? Is there any quiet joy in that? And we'll just rest together for the rest of our time with the body and the breath. Quiet joy. Hello, everyone, again. And hello to Myrtle and Sandra and Amanda and Darren and Leanne, who slipped in while we were meditating. Lovely to have you here. And so if you wish to take a look at gallery view for a moment again and just enjoy the community, feel free to do that. Just appreciate folks who are here and let your appreciation for them flow out, and know that you are receiving or being offered appreciation from every person here for your presence here. And so the Buddha, or actually Venerable Nalio, I wanted to say Venerable Nalio, has talked about our path as a path of the gradual refinement of joy. And our friend Rachel Lewis from Vancouver, who will be here with us next week, likes to say that as meditators, we are pleasure seekers. It's just that we seek more and more reliable pleasure. And that's what this teaching is about this reliable inner pleasure, inner joy that we can find in surprising places. And it has a very big role in the insight, in the wisdom sequence, we could say, in the way that wisdom unfolds in our mind and our heart. Because quiet joy calms the system, helps us to see more clearly. And when we can see more clearly, we can see more clearly what actually cultivates wisdom, what actions and attitudes and patterns of mind we can cultivate to support peace, and which patterns of our mind we can abandon. And this sequence or this process is not foreign to us. We all know it. Now, especially we know it when we're in nature, or when we think of a time when we were in nature. Just feel into what happens in your body when you do that. And just think of that time by the lake, or the walk in the yard, or the walk around the neighborhood, and how the body and the mind and the heart can settle a little bit in nature. That calming is a natural process. And then we can understand things. You know, we spend some time in nature and the mind unwinds a little bit, and the knot isn't quite so tight. And so what the Buddha is pointing to when he looks closely at this process is that this process is a process that is our inner nature. It's not something we have to depend on being outside in the forest for. We can tune in and support this quiet joy, this settling and clear seeing and wisdom in our own hearts and minds. And so this quiet joy, one of the things I love about this quiet joy is that we don't have to manufacture it. What the Buddha invited us to do was look for qualities in our experience, and those will naturally give rise to some joy. And then the process can unfold. The mind can calm, and we can see clearly, and see clearly what can cultivate peace. And so I'm going to talk about, and there's many maps about this insight sequence. And what many of them have in common is quiet joy, calming, seeing clearly, and then release in the mind and the heart. And so we want to look for this quiet joy as a way of catalyzing the rest of the process. But the good news is we also don't have to look for joy all the time. We can look for qualities that condition joy. And one of the maps of this is called the 7 factors of awakening. And this is a map of 7 qualities, inner qualities, that we can look for and cultivate that cultivate, lead to joy, calm, and insight. So that's what I would like to talk about tonight, the 7 factors of awakening. And so I'm going to do it by and illustrate each step with voices, with LGBTQI2S and Indigenous voices to celebrate Pride Week and Indigenous Day. So we'll be able to hear some of those voices coming through in this talk. And so here's one from a poem from Mary Oliver, speaking about this natural process. Oops, I have to find it. I'm sorry. This is the one poem I didn't print. I'm just going to take a look on the internet, which is kind of a wonderful thing about having internet. Here we go. This poem is called Praying. And it really speaks about this natural process. It says, it doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. So we're cultivating these doorways into thanks. These doorways into thanks in which another voice may speak, the voice of wisdom. And it's a natural process. Here's what the Buddha says about this in a sutta called the Upanisa Sutta. It says, what is the purpose of joy? Joy has deeper joy as its purpose, as its reward. So if we pay attention to joy, what happens? It deepens. What does deeper joy have as its purpose? What is its reward? Deeper joy has calm as its purpose, calm as its reward. What does calm have as its purpose, as its reward? Calm has happiness as its purpose, its reward. And so when we can sense into calm, that's one of those inner qualities of when we sense into any calm, there can be a little happiness that can be cultivated from that. And then the Buddha goes on to say, what is the purpose of happiness? What is the reward of happiness? Concentration is the reward of happiness. And what is the reward of concentration? Clear seeing is the reward of concentration. And from clear seeing, we can see more clearly how to cultivate this peace. So it's this domino kind of process. And often we try to get to the end of it. We try to concentrate really hard. And we don't have to do that. We can just look for these qualities that can cultivate joy and let the process unfold. And so in the map of the 7 factors of awakening, the first stage, this first quality is mindfulness. And then the second quality is curiosity or inquiry. This natural process, we can see it as a whole process, or we can call in each of these qualities on their own to cultivate quiet joy. And so mindfulness, though, the way it leads in a natural process is mindfulness. As soon as we're mindful, we can be curious. We can use our inquiry into our experience. So mindfulness naturally leads into inquiry or curiosity. And there can be a joy just from curiosity, a joy just from mindfulness, and then a joy just from curiosity. And as we get curious, energy naturally rises. You know how it is when you're really curious about something. You want to know what's going on over there. Curiosity gives rise naturally to energy. Energy, there can be a joy in that. You know, that energy where things just feel like they're flowing. And if you pay attention to that energy, joy can rise naturally. And joy is the fourth step. So there's mindfulness, inquiry, energy, joy. And it's a quiet joy. It's not like fireworks joy. It's just this little flavor of, oh, there's energy here. And the energy, what happens when we have energy for our experiences, we're connected to it. And there's a joy in being connected with ourselves, connected with our experience. That's where the joy comes from, energy. And then joy gives rise to calm. And we know when we're in nature again, you know, the beauty, the joy, the beauty, then the system calms down. And then we can inquire, and is there any kind of little quiet joy with calm? And then calm deepens into concentration, deepens into clear seeing. And so I have a poem about all these 7 factors, or these 7 qualities. For some reason, I'm not so good with papers tonight. I'm just going to describe this poem. Oh, here it is, right here. All right, this is a poem from the Therigatha, which is the poems of the elder nuns. And these were women who were enlightened teachers at the time of the Buddha, and their poetry has come down to us from 2,600 years ago. So this is from Genta. Her name means the conqueror. She says, I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me to walk this. Oh, and I bring her in here in this voices from the LGBTQI2S community and in indigenous community, because we don't know what her sexual orientation is. And so it's important to not assume that we know. So I bring it in there here because we don't know. And I like that, you know, that we never know. We don't know. We can't really judge anyone by outer appearances. And so I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me, to walk this path, you will need 7 friends. These 7 friends are the 7 factors of awakening. And I apologize, I keep interrupting this poem. I'm going to start again. I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me, to walk this path, you will need 7 friends. For many years, these friends and I have traveled together. Sometimes wandering in circles, sometimes taking the long way around. There were days when I thought I couldn't go on. There were days when I thought I was finally beaten. It's scary to give all of yourself to just one thing. What if you don't make it? Oh, my heart, you don't have to go it alone. Train yourself to train just a little more gently. So some encouragement from our ancestor, Genta. And these 7 friends that are our constant internal companions. And so mindfulness is the first quality. And I have a quote here from Robin Wall Kimmerer, who is an Anishinaabe elder who wrote the book Sweetgrass, Braiding Sweetgrass. And she's talking about mindfulness here, and also another inner quality which brings joy, the inner quality of contentment. And so here she is talking about mindfulness and what gifts it can bring to us. She says, the land is the real teacher. All we students need is mindfulness. Paying attention is a form of reciprocity with the living world, receiving the gifts with open eyes and open heart. Gratitude may seem like weak tea, given the desperate challenges that lie before us, but it is powerful medicine. Giving thanks implies recognition, not only of the gift, but of the giver. When I eat an apple, my gratitude is directed to that wide-armed tree whose tart offspring are now in my mouth, whose life has become my own. Gratitude is founded on the deep knowing that our very existence relies on the gifts of beings who can, in fact, photosynthesize. The evolutionary advantage for cultures of gratitude is compelling. The practice of gratitude can, in a very real way, lead to the practice of self-restraint, of taking only what we need. Acknowledging the gifts that surround us creates a sense of satisfaction, a feeling of enoughness, which is an antidote to the societal messages that drill into our spirits, telling us we must have more. Practicing contentment is a radical act in a consumption-driven society. And so the next, that just fills me with something, hope and inspiration and gratitude. Another inner quality which we can turn to in any moment. So the next is inquiry, the spirit of open, kind curiosity. That is a characteristic of our mindfulness practice. How can we bring this in to learn internally and externally? And I came across an interview with Marjorie Bocage, who's a two-spirit elder here in Saskatoon, a wonderful elder. I knew her way back when I was making movies. She was a filmmaker as well. And there was an interview with her about what it means to be two-spirited. So I loved the spirit of inquiry. I just loved the spirit of curiosity in this question. What does it mean to be two-spirited? And so her answer, it means someone is indigenous and queer. Queer is an umbrella term for folks who are not heterosexual or cisgender. Cisgender means folks who feel that they have the same gender as the body they're in. Folks who feel like they're transgender feel like they have a different gender from the physical, sexual body that they're in. So it means someone is indigenous and queer. In the traditional place of two-spirit, in the worldview, our job was to balance the masculine and feminine principles in our relations. Two-spirit people had very particular roles and responsibilities, and those are the things we have been trying to restore. So for 28 years now, we've been gathering as two-spirit in our own societies, learning and uncovering the original interpretation of who we are to get at the truth of who we are. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful spirit of inquiry, curiosity, discovery, learning. So inquiry naturally brings energy. I want to go find out more about that now. And so energy, this next quality, I found a beautiful quote by Audre Lorde, who describes herself as Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet. And so this is what Audre Lorde has to say about energy. And this is really, really, really applicable to all of us. It really speaks also to the practice of our practice, which embraces all parts of ourselves and the wholeness that we can find, of course, when we're not denying parts of ourselves or in delusion about parts of ourselves or having ill will towards parts of ourselves or grasping towards some part that we don't have. So this is what Audrey says about this. My fullest concentration of energy is available to me only when I integrate all the parts of who I am openly, allowing power from particular sources of my living to flow back and forth freely through all my different selves without the restrictions of externally imposed definition. Only then can I bring myself and my energies as a whole to the service of those struggles which I embrace as part of my living. And so being in connection with all parts of ourselves brings an energy, brings the energy from connecting fully with ourselves. There's an energy that rises, a kind of a quiet joy that rises, can rise spontaneously from that. And so this is a poem on joy from the Inuit shaman Evavnik. Trembling with joy, the great sea has set me in motion, set me adrift, moving me like a weed in a river. The sky and the strong wind have moved the spirit inside me till I am carried away, trembling with joy. So this really speaks to me about our experience in nature. We can feel like we're a part of nature. We can feel, if I asked everyone here for a word about how you feel in nature, we would get words like connection, peace, happiness, calm. And so this quiet joy in this map leads naturally next to calm. And I have a piece from Richard Wagamis, who was an Ojibwe elder from northwestern Ontario, a beautiful author. And he says this that speaks to me about the stillness of calm. This is from a book called Embers. I am my silence. I am not the busyness of my thoughts or the daily rhythm of my actions. I am not the stuff that constitutes my world. I am not my talk. I am not my actions. I am my silence. I am the consciousness that perceives all these things. When I go to my consciousness, to that great pool of silence that observes the intricacies of my life, I am aware that I am me. I take a little time each day to sit in silence so that I can move outward in balance into the great clamor of living. And then in this path, calm deepens into concentration if we settle with it. And this can lead to clairseeing and wisdom. And so I'm going to just carry on with Richard Wagamese from another part of this book, Embers, where he talks about deeper calm, or perhaps concentration, that gatheredness. Concentration isn't a good translation. It's more the deeper calm. It's more a deeper gatheredness. And so he says, there are motions of the heart that occur only in quiet rooms, in the splendor of solitude where nothing and everything exists at the same time. Being and becoming have their confluence in these moments of touching your essence. You feel yourself a part of the great wheel of creative, nurturing, loving, benevolent energy that is spinning around us all the time. This is what it means to be spiritual, to feel your spirit moving. Take to quiet places then. Immerse yourself in them. Feel your energy merge with that timeless, eternal energy and be made more. And so the last link in this particular map to wisdom is equanimity. And equanimity is a deeper sense of gatheredness. These all feed into each other, a deeper sense of gatheredness. And this equanimity in the Buddhist teachings is a real, very close to awakening. It's the next stepping stone. It's the place where we set the conditions of equanimity and the mind is ready to release into liberation and freedom. When what we mean by that is release the reactivity to the moment so that we can be fully in this moment and then have wise response. It doesn't mean we're not going to act, but we have wise response then if we can be fully without reactivity in this moment. In a way, this is, some traditions call this equanimity, and then moving into liberation, touching into our true self that Richard's kind of touched on as well. And so I want to close with one, or end this process with one more reading. This is from an article that was written by Ellie Krug, and it's called Coming Home, A Buddhist Transitions Genders. And it's about her realization that she felt more like a woman in a man's body, and that be a transgender experience. And then when she had this realization, this article is about what happened and actually also how it happened with the help of her meditation teacher. So the teacher's name is Zuko, and this is a Zen teacher. And this is Ellie talking or writing. The teacher, Zuko, had instructed on the 3 poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. Not yet fully understanding, I wondered whether it was delusional to think that I was actually a woman with a man's body. Wouldn't that be grasping for something unattainable? Somehow I got the guts up to ask. Zuko closed her eyes as she answered. If someone allows their inner essence to surface, she said, that is not delusion. It's quite the opposite, actually. Knowing your true self is called enlightenment. Enlightenment rather than delusion? Wow! That was what I needed to overcome the fear of living as my true self, a woman. That evening, Zuko could see me beaming. She remarked, "It looks like you've come home. I'm so happy for you." I'll be forever grateful to my teachers, Jack, Janelle, and Zuko, and the many other Buddhists whom I've met it is, as Zuko so astutely said, "I've come home." And she goes on to talk about how she embarked then on what became her own personal gender journey. And so these friends, mindfulness, inquiry, energy, joy, calm, concentration, and equanimity, are our inner friends, our inner relations, our inner relatives, our inner family. They can bring us quiet joy just through noticing their presence and their support. And they're inner, reliable sources of joy, not dependent on outer conditions. They're accessible to us, and they open the doorway to wisdom. And so I'll close with just a quote from Thomas King, who's a mixed blood Cherokee and Greek writer, author. It speaks to me a little bit about these relations, these friends we have inside ourselves, and also how we relate to from this place of wisdom with the world. And so he says, all my relations is at first a reminder of who we are in relationship with ourselves. Then a reminder of our relationship with our family and our relatives. And then more than that, all my relations is an encouragement for us to accept the responsibilities we have within this universal family by living our lives in a harmonious and moral manner. And this is really the call of the insight meditation tradition, is to live our lives in a harmonious way, in harmony with ourselves and the community around us. We're all called to this wise response internally and in the world. Let's just sit and let the words settle for a moment. And so, dear friends, we'll dedicate the merit of our practice now, and then we'll have our announcements, and then we'll say goodbye to those who are heading home, and we'll have our extended practice talk time. We started last week to not open up to a discussion after our talk, partly because we find it's difficult for folks to speak out on this in this format, and also we thought we would offer the opportunity once a month to have a dedicated time for talking and sharing about practice. So that's tonight. And so we'll dedicate the merit of our practice to all beings everywhere. We've cultivated some understanding tonight and some peace in our own hearts. We dedicate this out to all beings, but especially tonight in Pride Week, to all the folks in the LGBTQI and 2S community. And also to all folks in the Indigenous community, and to all beings. May all beings everywhere be connected in some way to inner reliable joys, to inner reliable qualities which give rise to joy and calm and wisdom. May all beings everywhere touch the stillness of their own being, the wisdom that connects us to the collective wisdom, the universal wisdom. May all beings know freedom and peace in their hearts and their minds. Thank you, friends, for your practice.
So I'm starting with announcements tonight. So first one is that Jeannie is really excited to introduce us to 3 of her Insight Meditation Society teacher training colleagues who will be joining us via Zoom next week, Wednesday, June 24th at 7 o'clock, our regular time, for our regular metta night. But I suspect that it's not going to be so very regular. It's not going to be ordinary, because this special event brings these 3 wonderful people, friends and colleagues, and they bring their innovative and diverse gifts. So for example, Rachel Lewis will open by chanting for us her own choral arrangement of a traditional chant. So we ask you to join us for this special night, the second in a series of collaborations with teachers from around the world, which we are calling Dharma Friends Evening. And Donna offered for this evening will be shared with appreciation from among all the teachers. So hope you can join us.
And 10 days from now, on June the 27th, we're having our annual Spring Day Long, which will be online. The title of this day long is Gladness and Quiet Joy, Essential Friends in Times of Change. The Buddha encouraged us to live in joy even in times of affliction. This day of nourishment will explore gladdening practices that are available in every moment and their liberating role in the journey of life. This day long is freely offered, and if you wish, you may visit the website to offer Jeanne Donna for her teaching and facilitation. For more details on this, visit the website, and once you have registered, there will be a Zoom link that will be sent to you to participate on Saturday, June the 27th. Thank you.
Oh, Doris, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. This is about a retreat that may happen. The Anglin Lake Insight Meditation Camping Retreat. As you know, that there are all kinds of restrictions around parks and camping this year, and we are not yet sure, and won't be until June 30th, whether the group campground where this retreat is held will actually be available. So we'll let you know by the end of the month whether we can go ahead with a very wonderful annual retreat from August 6th to 9th, Kindness, the Heart's Home, and Touching the Earth Insight Retreat from the 9th until the 12th. If you want to be sure that you've got a place, you can reserve a spot right now. You can register. If you've already paid and it doesn't happen, we'll certainly fully refund your fee, and we'll let you know what's going to happen. And that's
Thank you very much. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, everybody. Is that it for our announcements? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the team that puts those together. And those are a lot of our planners who plan all of our activities. So thank you so much to everybody who does that. And thank you so much to Andrea, who facilitates us being on Zoom here tonight. And really appreciate that so very much. So let's go out with gratitude in our heart. Gratitude for the Sangha, You can put yourself on gallery mode if you like, and just appreciate everybody and send your good wishes from your heart and receive everyone's wishes for you. Appreciate the fact that your presence has supported everybody, and we can wave each other out. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye. Take a look around. Say bye. Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Take the Sangha with you. Yeah, you can unmute if you want and say goodbye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Blessings on the evening.
Thank you, Darren.
Warm.
Bye-bye. Mhm. Take care, everybody. Bye, Dolores. Bye, Wendy. Bye, Diane.
Are we doing the extended talk?
Oh, we are. Yeah, of course we are. Thank you. Thank goodness you reminded me. I was also caught up in our goodbye.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't encourage anybody to hang up.
It's all good.
Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. So great. So we've got some time to hang out together and just have a more intimate, kind of deeper time. And anything's welcome here. And we might not, we've got 45 minutes and we might not use that much time. So no, don't feel any pressure. But any questions you've got about practice, any reflections on tonight's talk, or anything that's up for you in your practice at all is welcome.